Hey everybody, Jack Hammer here in Philadelphia, where the 49ers were blown out in the NFC Championship today by the score of 31-7. We'll talk about the reasons why they lost the game as bad as they did next on the 49ers Instant Reaction Show with Jack Hammer. Hey everybody, hope you're doing okay on this Sunday night. I know it was a disappointing evening if you're a 49ers fan. Big loss in the NFC Championship game. Now 2 years in a row, the 49ers have been within a step of getting to the biggest game that the NFL puts on every year. 2 games and 2 years in a row, they are headed home, will not be participating in the Super Bowl. A 31-7 loss today in Philadelphia to the Philadelphia Eagles. It was an ugly one. We'll do a little bit of a quick show because I have a very early flight tomorrow. I got to wake up in about 3 hours to get on that flight. So we'll go through the show, go through some of those. I'll answer some of your questions, and we'll see where we end up. Want to shout out real quick a couple members of the Toolbox. First off, we have Raphael 5629er says, good evening, Jack, members of the Toolbox and everyone. Hey, Raphael, good to have you on board. And then also Lucas Pesci says, hey, Jack, he's coming to us all the way from Austria. It's probably early morning almost now back there. So good to have you on board as well, Lucas. Big Lukey Walsh says, hi, everyone. Hi, Luke. Good to have you on board. Richard M. What a game. My God. What a game it was indeed. This was a couple things with this game. You know, you go back through it. I'm not even going to get into all the questions that I asked before the game, my keys that I gave, because those all went out the window after the first offensive possession for the 49ers. Brock Purdy injures his elbow. He's gone for the game. The 49ers are forced to bring in Josh Johnson. Josh Johnson wasn't even a member of the 49ers until about 8 weeks ago. The fact that they were able to actually take the lead with him at quarterback shows how good this team is, the fact that they're even in that position. But let's get into it real quick. Let's make this short and sweet. Why did the 49ers lose? It's simple. Number one, first possession of the game, the Eagles – with 4th and 3 at the 49ers 35-yard line. You have a long pass on the left sideline from Jalen Hurts. Good pressure by the 49ers defense, forces him to his left, throws the ball up there, and they get a completion to Devontae Adams behind Jimmy Ward. From where I was sitting, nothing looked bad about it. I didn't really get to see a replay, but from everything that I've heard afterwards, and even from Kyle Shanahan after the game at the podium, there was a question as to whether or not the pass was caught. Kyle Shanahan actually said he was ready to throw the challenge flag. He was thinking he was going to throw it, and then saw a replay in the one replay. That's all he saw of the play on the big screen inside of the stadium. And it didn't look like it was dropped. He couldn't see anything from that, so he decided to pull it in because he wanted to save the timeout. And my response back to that is, why are you worried about a timeout in the first half? Why are you worried about a timeout in the first half? This is a big moment in the game. It's 4th and 3, and they just got a chunk play on you all the way down to your own 3. If that ball's incomplete, you're getting the ball. It's worth throwing the flag right there and allowing it to be reviewed. If you had any kind of question at all about whether or not that was a catch, you need to throw the challenge flag right there. Doesn't. And that cost the 49ers because, upon further review, looking at it a little bit later, it definitely was one in which the ball hit the ground. And so that's a tough one there for the 49ers. Got called out a little bit for that, I believe, on the halftime show by the guys doing the halftime show. But you've got to throw the challenge flag. That's when in doubt, throw that challenge flag. Number two. Who thought that it was a good idea to use Tyler Kroft to block Hassan Reddick? Now, I get it. Tight ends are routinely asked to block on the backside on play action, which was the answer that Kyle Shanahan gave. I get it, and that's not an incorrect statement. That does happen. But we're not talking about blocking, forgive me, Samson, but we're not talking about blocking Samson Ebicom on the backside. we're talking about Hassan Reddick, who had double-digit sacks this season, one of the better sack guys in the NFL. And not only did he beat him once, they came back to it right away. And not only did Brock Purdy get hit, but Josh Johnson got it knocked on his ass too on the very next play. And the very next time they did it, which was on the next possession. And I got, it's questionable. And if you want to look at as to why the 49ers lost this game, I'm not going to say that the 49ers lost this game because of Kyle Shanahan when he's, has his hands tied behind his back because he's playing with his fourth string quarterback, right? But at the same time, they're playing with the fourth string quarterback because of the choice that Kyle Shanahan made to not throw the challenge flag. So instead of getting the ball at your 35 and the score is 0-0 and you kind of have some momentum because you just shut them down on fourth down, you are, now behind by 7. You're trying to make a play, which you're probably going to do anyway. And it's just bad. It doesn't work. And this isn't even, of course, it's post game after seeing the play, those types of things. But seriously, you got your backup tight end. Think about it. Just take this one step farther. You played against the Dallas Cowboys last week, and you thought so much of Tyler Kroft that he wasn't even active. You had Ross Dwelly in the game instead of Tyler Kroft last week. This week, you decided that you were going to play Tyler Kroft, and your quarterback was injured. This is now 2 years in a row, by the way, really quick. Take this one step a little bit further. This is now 2 years in a row that a tight end of the 49ers has been beaten and has resulted in their starting quarterback being injured. Last year against Tennessee, the injury to Jimmy Garoppolo when he injured his thumb, Jimmy Garoppolo was hit because George Kittle got beat on a pass block. Today, it was Tyler Kroft. I just let that one sink in for you for a minute. That's just another piece of it there. Tisha Edmonds comes in. So imagine a ruptured or broken elbow. That's the other part of this. And this isn't really even anything that I've written, but I've seen people questioning the reason for Brock Purdy not to come into the game sooner. He couldn't throw the ball. He couldn't throw the ball. Yes, he came into the game in the second half because their backup quarterback, Josh Johnson, got a concussion and wasn't going to be able to return. He couldn't throw the ball. Yes, he threw a screen and he threw a little short pass to George Kittle. Both those balls traveled about 10 yards away from Purdy. He could not throw the ball down the field. He could not put anything into his throws. His arm was hurting too much. What good would it have done for Brock Purdy to come into the game in the first half if he couldn't throw the ball? So, I'm kind of, just pushing that back a little bit on that one. I don't get it. I've seen some people question it pretty hard on him, and I don't get it. That's a good point, Randall. Someone should have asked him why the Eagles were rushing to call a play. Again, I think that's one of those things where in the moment, I don't think that those of us on site noticed it as much because we were seeing the play and we were looking up the replay screen ourselves, and we're not on the field, so it's a little bit different. So yeah, that's a good point, Randall. We should have. Okay, my next takeaway really quick. As far as Brock Purdy goes, who knows what he would have done, but we do know that he didn't look like he was rattled. He came out and first play of the game, George Kittle, 9 yards. A couple plays later, connects again with Brandon Ayuk for a gain of 10 for a first down. He looked like he was ready to have a sharp game, and then the injury occurs, and he's out. Christian McCaffrey. What can you say about Christian McCaffrey? This dude's amazing. He was the 49ers offense tonight in a lot of ways. You had some other guys, but the 49ers only got on the scoreboard because of Christian McCaffrey. 2 catches for 18 yards and then the run for 23. That 46-yard touchdown drive they had to tie the game up at 7 in the second quarter was all Christian McCaffrey. Think about how crazy that was at that point. The 49ers lose their starting quarter. They give up a touchdown on the first possession of the game. They then lose their starting quarterback on the ensuing possession. We're 2 possessions into the first half. The Niners are down 7. They're playing with their 4th-string quarterback. The 49ers in the middle of the second quarter now, basically a whole quarter goes by, and this game is still 7-0, and the 49ers have scored a touchdown to make this a 7-7 game. It was 7-7 at that point. And then the defense hits. Defense, I felt like in this game, the 49ers defense played pretty good for a bit. They, for the most part, they really played a good game, except for they really hurt themselves at the same time, which makes it a little, back and forth. I mean, they weren't awful. They weren't bad, but they killed themselves. The game 7-7, and you get off the field, except for there's a pass interference penalty, which I thought was a bad pass interference call. That was 3 yards off the line of scrimmage, and I thought that was a good play by Jimmy Ward. There was another one, I think, a penalty on Charvarius Ward to extend a drive. I think there was a Dre Greenlaw. I don't remember who all the penalties were on, but they give up 3 first downs on that possession on the defensive side. The 49ers tonight give the Eagles 6 first downs on defense. The 49ers defense gives up 6 first downs on penalties. They gave up 7 first downs in the game on penalties because not only did the defense do it, but Jordan Mason runs into the punter, gives him another first down. And what happened with all that stuff? Touchdowns. You give your opponent opportunities that they didn't earn, and they bite you in the rear end. And that's what happened tonight to the 49ers. The defense played just good enough to get themselves beat. It was just one of those nights for the 49ers. And especially when you have your quarterback hurt the way that they did and everything else was going against them. Luke says, know of any quarterbacks that have done well after Tommy John surgery? I don't know. That's a tough one. We'll have to find out what happens there with that situation with Brock Purdy. Are you open to Tom Brady next year? If the decision is to go between Trey Lance and Tom Brady, depends on what kind of offense you want. Do you want an offense like what you saw Phildelphia run tonight? If that's what you want, then you go with Trey Lance. If you want to see an offense similar to what you've seen over the last 6 years in San Francisco, while you had Jimmy Garoppolo, I think you go with Tom Brady. Tom Brady's going to get the ball out, and he's going to hit receivers open. He's going to get the yak stuff and all those things that Jimmy Garoppolo got. You're not going to get movement out of the quarterback position. Your offensive line is going to have to be really good. So Tom Brady, maybe. And Rydell, I agree with you. 121 yards passing for Jalen Hurts MVP, really. Well, here's the thing. Jalen Hurts isn't about just the passing yards. I agree with you. You look at the numbers, 121 yards, 12 of 25, or was he 15 of 25 tonight, 121 yards. I don't really have all the numbers in front of me right now, but I have a feeling that he was around probably close to 180 total yards of offense, though. Let me look that up, and I'll get you a number really quick. Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. He's a really good quarterback because of what he can do with his legs. He doesn't scare you with his arm, but because he can run and move around, he scares you. So you look at his day-to-day, 121 yards through the air, 39 yards rushing. So what's that? 160 yards of total offense from Jalen Hurts today. Jalen Hurts with 39 yards rushing. Miles Sanders with 42 yards rushing. Kenneth Gainwell, 48 yards rushing. Boston Scott, 21. So he's your third leading rusher today. Jalen Hurts is a running back in the way that they utilize him. He doesn't. Watching Jalen Hurts, he doesn't scare me. He's not going to, as a drop back passer, Jalen Hurts shouldn't scare anybody. But as an overall football player, at the quarterback position, I think that's where Jalen Hurts gets himself into the MVP category because he helps them win games because of everything that he does, right? But it's not going to come out of the passing game. And this is why I chuckle, quite frankly, at the people who complain about Trey Lance and the way that Trey Lance was utilized by the 49ers earlier this year. There are people who will tell you that the 49ers, that Jalen Hurts and Trey Lance, to look at their numbers from their first 4 starts. Okay, let's look at them. They're very similar. You know what else is really similar? The 2 players. They're both similar players. They're both going to be at their best when they're using their legs and moving around and all those types of things. They're not going to drop back and beat you from the pocket all game long. You're going to have to utilize them, and that's why the 49ers went out and got them. I don't know. Really quick. Big Bad Brav, thank you very much. The D was good. The O let them down. Team went in very healthy and came out a train wreck. The team needs an exorcism. Blame the devil. Okay. I don't know, man. They did go in healthy. The quarterback positions where those injuries were. Nitin Kumar, thank you so much. He says, blame the refs all you want, but looks like the defense got too aggressive, reminding me of the Chicago game with self-inflicted wounds. Jalen adds to the run game. Niners D got paused on red zone touchdowns. I agree with you. I mean, blame the refs if you want. That's the easy way out, to just blame it on the refs instead of just realizing that you just got beat. The defense, to me, it looked like the 49ers defense knew they had to make a play for this team to win a game. And so instead of just doing what they do, they were trying to force a turnover, because I felt that just like I believe that they felt just like everybody else did, that they weren't going to win this game unless they scored a touchdown or they gave their offense field position in real good, gave their offense the ball in real good field position. And in trying to be aggressive, they were over aggressive, as you say, Nitin. Exactly, too aggressive. We've seen them do this a lot, not this year, but in years past. And I thought it was a really good performance gone wrong with the way that some of the things that they did tonight. Thank you very much, both of you, for your super chats. I appreciate it. And then we've got Jake Loy says, go Raiders. Yeah, must have been fun watching everybody else play during the postseason. Let's see what else we've got. There's a couple of thoughts that I had on this one. Again, just got done with the one beating themselves. Everybody, when you're a 49ers fan, there are a lot of 49er fans that I heard last week complaining about the way that Kyle Shanahan managed the end of the first half, complaining about the fact that with the game tied, he played it safe, let the clock run down a little bit before then getting aggressive and going for some points at the end of the first half. People were complaining about that. I actually have seen people liking the fact that he was aggressive at the end of the first half. I don't get it. I think that if you're complaining about, I'm going to be real honest. If you're complaining about the way that Kyle Shanahan managed that offense to get points at the end of the game, first half against Dallas, but you're happy with the way that he managed the end of the first half today, when it cost them points, I don't get it. I don't know. I think you don't know what you're talking about when it comes to football, because that cost any chance the 49ers had of winning this game went out the window when Kyle Shanahan decided to go for it down 14-7 at the end of the first half, when Josh Johnson dropped the ball, and it was it. You give the ball to 30. I didn't even need to see the way that possession finished to know that game was over, because the Eagles were going to go up 2 scores, and the 49ers didn't have a chance in Hades of coming back from being two scores down in this game. They just didn't. So if you like the way that they went after it today, I don't get it. I couldn't disagree with you more. I understand what he's doing there. But it was it's not the right. You're getting the ball to open the second half. You're down by a score. Run the clock out. Go to the halftime down 1 score. Get the ball at halftime, and let's see what we can do. Cut your losses. Get into the locker room, and let's see what we can do. I think what happened is they opened it up. They hit Deebo Samuel on the little slant. He almost broke it, and then they're like, okay, we can go. And you go again, and then disaster strikes and the game's over. Greg Argessi, thank you for your super chat. Says Eagles are so overrated. Are you sure Purdy is going to get Tommy John? I don't know. He'll have an MRI tomorrow, and that'll tell us more about it. Thank you for the super chat, though. But we'll find out more tomorrow on Brock Purdy's elbow injury. Next up, we've got the disciplined nature, all those first downs. We talked about that already. Philadelphia's pass rush, I think that was everything that we've been hearing about it being. They were really good. They were all over the quarterback today. They hit Purdy and Johnson 7 times on 18 pass attempts. Let that one sink in, because hits don't count on the sack. So 18 times the 49ers threw passes today, and their quarterbacks were hit 7 of those 18 times. That they struggled in pass protection. We knew it was going to be a physical game. We knew it was going to be rough. It didn't work out for the 49ers, obviously. Blind Tom, my man, how you doing? Member of the Toolbox? Good to have you in here. He says, bummer. Hey, that's me at the Dead Fly Cafe in Plymouth sometime in the spring. I ride the Evo Springer up there all the time. Tommy, I'll have to figure out where that is. But absolutely, and I want to say thank you very much. You are one of the loyal members who not only watches my live shows, but checks out all the stuff that I put up outside of the lives, and I really appreciate you, Tom. And if we get a chance, let me know. If that's in Plymouth, California, or whatnot. Just respond on, not here, but on to one of the things here on YouTube. And when you're going to be up there, let me know, and I'll try to find you to say hi. That'd be fantastic. Definitely a bummer of a game, though. That's for dang sure. Maybe I just need to stop traveling to the championship games. Maybe I'm just bad luck. But, you look at this game, and with the 49ers, if they had a quarterback, this game's going to be close. There's no way of knowing how this game would have ended up. But it's clear. If you were watching this game, there's no way that the 49ers are 24 points worse than the Eagles. There just isn't. But the 49ers played the final 26 minutes and 49 seconds of the game without a quarterback who could throw the ball. They had no chance in the second half. Once Johnson went down, they really had no chance. They didn't really have any chance to begin with, but once Josh Johnson went down, we could have just ran a running clock, and the rest of the game the outcome would have been the same. They weren't going to change they weren't going to change the outcome of the game. Think about that for a minute. 26 minutes and 49 seconds of game clock today with a quarterback in the NFL and the NFC Championship game. They played almost a whole half. One team with a quarterback who could not throw the ball more than 10 yards in front of them. Not 10 yards downfield. Not 10 yards downfield like on an out route. 10 yards in front of him. So that's not that hard to see why they lost this game. And I'm going to wrap it up. Been going for about 24 minutes. You don't trade Nick Bosa. You don't do that. That was another thing where the 49ers almost looked like they were going to get a really bad break there when Bosa went down on the sidelines. He basically got a leg whip on that punt. My last comment really quick is Philadelphia. I've never been to Philadelphia before. Never been here. I've barely been in town for 24 hours. I'll be leaving tomorrow, so I'm not even going to be in town for full. I don't think I'll be here for 36 hours by the time I get back on the plane tomorrow to leave. But what I'm going to say is Philadelphia is a freaking awesome place to watch a football game. It is. If I was at the NFC Championship game last year at SoFi, and the difference between SoFi Stadium and here in Philadelphia is today you saw what it means to actually have a home field advantage in the NFL. This place was great. I noticed somebody mentioned Rob over in the comment section. I actually met up with Rob. We were flying in yesterday, and we had a connecting flight in Chicago. So Rob and myself were on the same flight out of Chicago here. We hung out a little bit last night, and I saw him for a few minutes today before the game, and we were walking through the concourse towards where his seat was going to be. and a Phillies fan gets up in front of his face, stops him, gets right up in front of his face, EAGLES, Eagles, and walks off. Rob and I laughed our butts off because it was so funny. They don't want to fight you. They're going to tell you that they're going to flip you off. They're going to say F you. They're going to tell you to go home, call you a loser, all those kind of things. But not once did I feel threatened. I wasn't wearing 49er gear like the other people, but I saw lots of 49er people, fans walking around. Not a lot, but I saw a fair share. And I didn't see any Eagles fan trying to get goofy. I think for the most part, if you're a 49ers fan who was just minding your own business, enjoying your game, and wasn't a jackass to the other guys, you were going to be fighting in that stadium today. The passion of Eagles fans is awesome, and I appreciate it. And I did hear some stories from people who have had negative experiences with Philly fans around race and those types of things. And for that, I'll say that's totally unacceptable, and that is not behavior that I would condone. And I apologize for those of you that, if you've ever been to a game in Philadelphia and that kind of things happen to you. But for what I was able to see, and even some of the goofiness that I saw in the stands during the game from the press box, thank you, girls. Appreciate it. It was a fun atmosphere. They were having a good time, and they were loud as heck. I think the highlight of the day, I texted my girlfriend during the game, and I said the highlight of the day for me was pregame. Before the game even started, before I was even in the stadium, walking through the parking lot to the stadium, videotaping some stuff. It's on the channel, some of what I was able to see. And I see this motorhome parked there, and I'm just kind of walking by and not thinking anything about it. And then I see all these TV cameras pointed at it. I'm like, what's going on there? So I started looking through the bars of the parking lot, because I wasn't actually in the parking lot yet at this time. And lo and behold, I don't know if anybody's ever watched the show Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but Rob McElhenney is one of the stars of Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I never really watched that show. I watched a few episodes of it, but the only reason I haven't watched a few episodes of it recently was because you guys know, some of you, if you watch my show enough, you probably heard Victorious Gav, Big Gav from Wales. He turned me on to a show called Welcome to Wrexham, and Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds, they bought Wrexham AFC over in Wales, and they did a whole documentary based on it. And lo and behold, there was Rob McElhenney right there doing his thing. And so I was trying to figure out how to get into the stadium. I ended up having to walk around. So as I'm walking around, I kind of went back around by where that motorhome was just to see what they were filming. And he had come out to do something, and I just was able to yell at him, "Go Wrexham!" And I got a fist bump back, and that was fist pump back, not a fist bump, but a fist pump. That was my highlight of the day. Got to see the owner of Wrexham AFC, who I think lost today in the FA Cup match that they had. But that was pretty fantastic. Rough ending of the season for the 49ers. I'm going to say it's rough. I'm going to be doing some more shows, though, to talk about this game. I'm not done. I have more thoughts, and as my trip back to the West Coast takes place tomorrow, I'll probably be able to gather my thoughts a little bit better as well. So do me a favor, hit that like button for me, hit the subscribe button as well, and then also get yourselves over to 49ers.pressdemocrat.com. I can do the whole YouTube thing, and I could do a lot of stuff that I do, but I wouldn't be able to give you the reports live from the games. I wouldn't be able to do all those fun things. Wouldn't be in Philadelphia if it wasn't for the good folks at the Santa Rosa Press Democrat giving me the platform to moderate the Inside the 49ers blog and write about the 49ers and become a member of the 49ers beat. And I'm just getting going. I'm only in year 2 of doing this, and I'm not a young guy, but I'm young when it comes to this. So just want to say thank you to everybody who's taken the time this offseason, this year, to tune into my channel, to go over to the PD and check out the Inside the 49ers blog. If you guys can hit that like button, subscribe, that'd be fantastic. I will be back. I'm not sure if it's going to be tomorrow, but for sure I'll be back on Tuesday with another live show. But I'm going to be we'll be breaking down the season. We'll be talking about a lot of stuff here on the Jack Hammer channel when it comes to 49ers over the coming months, over these next 6 months before we get back to next season. So thank you all so much for making this as much fun as it is. Thank you for allowing me to come and talk to you, and for you guys to actually take the time to search this out and watch. If you guys can hit that like button and subscribe, especially if you're newer to the channel, I'd really appreciate it. Hit that like button because that's what helps us to grow the channel and get it out in front of more people as well. So thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Take it easy. I'll be back soon. Thank y'all for tuning in. Take care.